Yes, so this is basically the second class of your mentorship program. Okay. Now, in the first class, I think Vikas sir already mentioned the important areas that you should focus upon. Yes, the major areas that you should focus upon, especially from the agriculture point of view. Yes. So here he has basically discussed certain topics on the same. Today we will be covering certain other topics. Okay. Now, apart from this, there are certain static topics like rice, wheat, sugarcane. Okay. For that, I will directly provide slides for the same. Okay. It's a static content. I think we'll directly provide the slides and you can go through the content after the class. Okay. Now, the first slide is regarding area, production, and yield. Okay. So already this topic has been taken by Vikas sir, but there was another chart that I just observed in the agriculture annual report. Okay, that was the increase in area. Okay, for example, if the statement is the area under rice has been steadily increasing for the past 3 years. Okay, so here based on the graph that is given, what would you say? Is that a correct statement? The area under rice, cultivation of rice, has been steadily increasing. If you see the graph that is given from 2019 to 2021, what do you think? Is it steadily increasing? Okay. So this you can clearly see, right? That is, it is steadily increasing. Okay. So that is the sole purpose of including these three graphs that are there. Okay. Anyways, agricultural annual report for 2023 has not been yet released. Okay. So once that is released, we will again update the content. Okay. Till then, just go and understand the pattern here. Okay. For example, here, what do you see regarding wheat? It is increasing or decreasing for the last 3 years? Yes. Okay. Decreasing. So this pattern you have to observe. Okay. For each of the crops that are there. Okay. Rice, wheat, pulses, food grains, oilseed, sugarcane. Okay. These are major crops. Please go through them. Area under cultivation is a major topic for your UPSC. Okay, that is the reason. So this content was missed in the previous class. That is the reason I have covered it. Okay. Same goes for production also. Okay, here also you will observe the same aspect, increasing trend, decreasing trend. Okay. Same goes for yield also. Okay, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Okay. So this pattern you please observe and write it down in the slides. Okay. All right. So after this topic is done, now we come to the main topic for today's class, that is MSP. Right? Now, MSP is an important topic. Already the last year, the question was there on minimum support price. Right? The government of India provides minimum support price for either seeds. Okay. Similarly, when you talk about MSPs, here the question should also be on what? Focusing on Kharif as well as Rabi crops. What are the at least mandated Kharif and Rabi crops? You should be very clear about that. Okay. Similarly, another UPSC question was asked here also. The topic is minimum support price. Okay. So when you go through the previous year questions, you will observe a clear-cut trend, that is minimum support price is an important topic from your prelim standpoint. Yes. Now, based on what we know, so let us try to understand the topic minimum support price. Okay. So here, when we talk about minimum support price, it is basically the government is announcing that yes, it will take crops, or it will buy back crops from farmers at a certain price. Okay. Now, for that, there are 22 mandated crops. Okay. Now, what will be the price of those crops at which the government will buy back? That is basically being recommended by Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Okay. Now, what are the factors that determine? Okay. What are the factors that particularly determine the prices? So for that, I have created a question. You go through the question and let me know which statements do you think are correct. Okay. Which of the following factors are considered by CACP while recommending MSP for crops? Okay, which factors do you think? First is intercrop price parity. Second is demand supply situation in the world market. Third is effect of price policy on Indian economy. And the fourth is a minimum of 100% margin over cost of production to double farmers' income. Which factors do you think are considered by Commission for agriculture cost and prices before recommending MSP for crops? Which statements do you think might be correct here? 1, 2, 3, Sanya. Fourth. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2. Okay, fourth. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3. One and two. What about others? There is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4. Okay. 1 and 3. 1 and 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Fine. 1 and 2. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Fine. So here 1, 2, and 4. All right. So see here. Yes, the answer here is actually 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now, what about the fourth statement? Here, the numerical component is there. So there might be chances that the numerical component has been changed. Yes, it is 1.5 times or it is 50%. Okay, that is whatever be your cost of production, usme se 50% more. Okay, that would be your MSP. Okay, so a minimum of 50% margin over the cost of production. Okay, so these are certain factors that are considered by CACP. Okay, now this CACP basically recommends this to the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is headed by your Prime Minister, who basically notifies the prices of MSP for the 22 mandated crops. Okay, now this is basically all the factors that are considered while considering MSPs. Okay, so one is cost of production. Okay, second is demand supply situation of various crops, both in the domestic as well as the world market also. Okay, the domestic and international prices, intercrop parity, price parity, terms of trade that are there, the effect of price policy on rest of the Indian economy. Okay, and a minimum of 50% margin over cost of production. Okay, so these are certain factors that determine the prices of MSP. Okay, so please go through this, an important topic. Okay, now when we talk about minimum support price, basically we are talking about the government supporting the farmers for 22 mandated crops and sugarcane also, right? So when we talk about 22 mandated crops, it is must that you know all the 14 kharif crops and the 6 rabi crops. Okay, because if you go through the previous year questions, which of the following are kharif crops, which of the following are rabi crops, this has been asked in your UPSC. Okay, so it should be very clear what are kharif, what are rabi crops. Okay, so 14 kharif crops have been mentioned here, 6 rabi crops, that is wheat, barley, gram, masoor, rapeseed, and mustard and safflower. Okay, apart from this, 2 commercial crops also, that is jute and copra. They are also mandated. Okay, so please go through this, an important topic. Again, a very static topic, but of importance in the prelims. Fine. So if you want to remember, that is the reason I have just given it in the chart format also. Okay, that is what are the 14 kharif crops, what are the 6 rabi crops. Remember the 6, by default the rest will be kharif. Okay. Now after this is done, just remember the 6. Okay. You can use anything that suits you. Okay. Remember the 6, that would be sufficient. You can create your own mnemonics. Okay. Fine. Now, what about the procurement part? Okay, so once MSP has been declared, then which are the agencies that procures the mandated crops, right? So it is both the state government, okay, or state agencies, as well as the FCI also. Okay, they do so for the central pool. Okay, and at the same time, for oil seeds, pulses, copra also, that is, if you have the mandated quality, they are also procured from the farmers. Okay, same goes for cotton and jute also. For cotton, it is done through the Cotton Corporation of India. For jute, it is done through the Jute Corporation of India. Okay, so procurement not just limited to central agency, that is FCI, but also state agencies also. Okay, now here comes a question on CACP. Okay, so here we have, yes, the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. It is basically the one which recommends the prices of MSPs. Okay, now based on the commission that is there, there are 3 statements that are given here. Okay, which statements do you think might be correct here? Okay, so it is already a PSC question that has been asked in the recent years. Okay, so the first statement says CACP is a statutory body formed under Agriculture Price Commission Act 1962. Okay, second is currently MSP is devoid of any legal backing except for sugarcane to some extent. The third is before submitting a price policy report for any crop, you have CACP analyzes the demand and supply also. Okay, along with cost of production. So which statements do you think might be correct here? Three only. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. 3. 2 and 3. 2, 3. 3. 1 and 3. Okay. So first and the foremost thing, is CACP a statutory body? That is the most important aspect that we have to see. Okay, so let us try to answer this question through the next slide. Okay, so here this is a very important topic already asked in your UPSC once. Okay, that is Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Okay, so yes, it is an expert body under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Okay, so it came in existence in 1965, that is fine. It was also initially known as the Agriculture Prices Commission. Okay, but is it a statutory body? It is not. It is an expert body. Okay, so earlier it was known as the Agriculture Prices Commission, and later in 1985 it was renamed as the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Okay, now the commission is chaired by a chairman. Now, if the examiner is focusing on the same topic, what would be the opposite statement here? The commission is chaired by, what do you think? You have read the previous year questions. What might be the opposite option that the examiner can give? The commission is chaired by, no, PM it cannot be, right? Because CCEA is there. Economic affairs, that is PM. What else? Finance, no. Agriculture, exactly. Okay, when you're talking about agriculture, yes, the Minister of Agriculture. Okay. So always when you're focusing on the content, think along the opposite lines also. What if the examiner is asking you the same question where he can trick you? Okay, the examiner mindset. Okay, so here you have a commission which is comprised of a chairman, member secretary, one member and one official member and two non-official members who are basically farmers. Okay, so here CACP, it's not Dinesh. Okay, it's just an expert body. Fine. So it is mandated to recommend minimum support prices. Okay. Now every year it gives out price policy reports to the government in 5 groups of commodities. Okay, that is kharif crops, for rabi crops, for sugarcane, for raw jute and copra. Okay, so here what are the points that you should remember here? First, what was it initially known as? Agriculture Prices Commission. Okay, it was later renamed 20 years later to CACP. Okay, it is headed by a chairman, but not any ex officio member is there. Okay, mandated to recommend MSPs and the price policy report that it submits. It is for 5 groups of commodities: for kharif crops, for rabi crops, for sugarcane, raw jute, and copra. Okay. Now coming back to the initial question here, so definitely the first statement is wrong. Okay, not a body here. What about the second statement? The MSP is devoid of any legal backing except for sugarcane. Okay. So here you might have heard of sugarcane control order, right? Sugarcane control order that basically defines or regulates the prices of sugar. Okay. How much procurement should happen. You know? So all of that legal backing is there only for the sugarcane. Okay. So here this statement is actually correct. This is anyways correct. Okay. So this is based on the sugarcane control order. Fine. So this is directly a PSC question that was asked. Fine. So please go through this, an important topic. Acha, now the most important topic for your content this year. Okay, so 2 statements have been given. Random National Commission on Farmer, okay, and National Policy for Farmers. Okay, 2 random statements given. Which statements do you think might be correct? Okay, the National Commission on Farmers recommended that agriculture be inserted in the concurrent list of the Constitution. Okay. The second is the National Policy for Farmers. Okay, it adopted the recommendation. Okay, at least 50%. Okay, so which statements do you already told you, Madhu? It's wrong. It's an expert body. Okay, so which statements do you think might be correct here? We have 2 statements regarding National Commission on Farmers and the National Policy for Farmers. Any idea? Recently, why we are focusing on such statements is recently you might have observed questions, that is questions asked on commissions from 1980s, 1990s and all. Okay, so that is the reason we are covering this. Any idea, anyone? 2, okay. Fine. 2 is wrong, both. Only two correct. Two. Fine. Two. One only, two only. Okay. Two. Okay. Anand. Fine. So let's see here what might be the answer in the coming slides. Okay. Now, why are we covering the National Commission on Farmers? This is very, very important for your prelims 2024. Okay. Why? Because the person who headed the commission recently died. Okay. The contribution of Professor M.S. Swaminathan. Okay. So here's his two major contributions is what? One is National Commission on Farmers and finally Green Revolution. Okay. Two major contributions, very important from your prelim standpoint. Okay. So he's considered as the chief architect of India's Green Revolution and is responsible for introducing the high yielding wheat and rice varieties. Okay. Now, what you should focus on the MSP front. Okay. So the National Commission on Farmers, it was headed by M.S. Swaminathan. Okay. He recommended that MSP should be at least 50% more than the weighted average cost of production. Okay, so here this was a commission that was releasing its reports. Okay, 5 reports it released during the time period 2004 to 6. Okay, but however, the national policy for farmers that came after this. Okay, in the national policy for farmers, this recommendation by the National Commission on Farmers was not included. Okay, so when the National Policy for Farmers 2007 was finalized, this recommendation of providing 50% returns over cost of production was not included. Okay, so here this recommendation of MS Swaminathan, it was accepted only in the recent time, that is Union Budget of 2018-19, where in principle this was recognized that yes, the MSP has to be 1.5 times of your cost of production. So this is a recent phenomenon, not in the national policy for farmers. Okay, even though it was recommended, it was not finalized in the final report. Okay, so this is a major statement that you should note down. Okay, an important topic from your MSP topic. Okay, now there are other recommendations also of National Commission on Farmers. Okay, because it basically released 5 reports. Okay, so what I've done for you here is I have mentioned the major recommendations that have been given by the National Commission on Farmers. Okay, so major recommendations you should definitely know. The remaining, if it is if any statement you observe which seems pro farmer, okay, if it seems pro farmer, that is more likely it has been submitted, that recommendation has been made by MS Swaminathan himself or the commission himself. Okay, so here I have only added those recommendations which are very, very important and can be asked from the examiner point of view. Okay, so the first recommendation is agriculture to be inserted in the concurrent list of the constitution. This was recommended in the National Commission on Farmers. Okay, distribute, yes, the extra land that is there. Prevent diversion of prime agricultural land to corporate sector. Okay, establish a national land use advisory service. Okay, depending upon meteorological conditions. Okay, create a national network of advanced soil testing laboratories. Okay, now reduce rate of interest for crop loans. Okay, establish a agriculture risk fund. Issue Kisan credit card. Talking about universal PDS system. Establishment of community food and water banks. Formulate a National Food Guarantee Act. Okay, and set up state level farmers commission. Okay, so these have been implemented later on, but these are major recommendations made by the commission. Okay, so please go through them. They are important, and I've told you why this is important. Yes, this can be used in mains, and most of the points are already been implemented. Okay, most of the recommendations, if you see, they have been recommended, they have been implemented. Okay, so you can definitely use them. Fine. All right, so here now, based on the content that you just learned, now what do you think here? Which statements might be correct? The National Commission on Farmers recommended that agriculture be inserted in the concurrent list. That is correct statement. Okay. Now the second one is the National Policy for Farmers adopted the recommendation. It is wrong. Okay. It was rejected. Okay. So it did not actually adopt. It was done in 2018-19. Okay. Even though the National Commission did recommend the same, but it was rejected by the National Policy for Farmers. Okay. So please go through this. Again, a very important topic from your prelim standpoint. Okay. Okay, come to the next topic. Okay, next. So here you can see already Kisan credit card scheme. Okay. A very static topic, a very previous, but recently there are current affairs on the same. That is the reason we are covering the topic again. Okay. So already this has been asked in your UPSC, I think 2020. Okay, that is who all are the specific beneficiaries of the same. Okay, under the Kisan credit card scheme. Okay. Now, whenever you focus on any scheme, what should be your major points? What should you focus upon? One is beneficiary, that is there. Apart from it, what are the other areas that you will focus upon? Yes, period is there. Budget, okay, fine. That depends, every year that might change. Eligibility, yeah. Beneficiaries, we have already said. What else? Ministry, fine. Ministry is there. What else? Intent, aim and objective, purpose, fine. Aim and objective, intent, all of this is done. Fine. What else? Timeline or the set goal that is there. Okay, what is it trying to achieve? Okay, what is the intended goal? Definitely. Okay. Now, when you talk about the intended goal, here you should focus upon the year of completion as well as if there is any numerical component to it. Okay, definitely you should focus on that. Okay. Yes, if it is centrally sponsored or not. Yes, definitely. What else? Ministry also you have mentioned. That is fine. No, scheme is statutory body. We are talking about schemes. Okay. Any numerical component is there, please focus on the same. Fine. And beneficiaries, especially if it is women, children, anything related to nutrition. Okay, that is very important. All those aspects, anything having social implication, that is important aspect. Okay. All right. So here we have, coming back to the topic, Kisan credit card scheme. Okay. Now, based on the same, it's a old topic. I have created a question for you. Okay. Which of the following statements is correct regarding Kisan credit card scheme? Okay. The first statement is, for a farmer to avail finance under the scheme, mortgage of land or third party guarantee is necessary. Okay. The second statement says, under the scheme, the maximum loan that can be availed is 3 lakhs for activities related to animal husbandry and fisheries. The third statement says the scheme provides farmers with interest-free loans. Which statements do you think might be correct? Kisan credit card scheme. 3, 2, 3. Only 3. 3. Two. What about others? Madhu 2, Somashekar 3, fine. Rishika 2, Arshini 3, 2 and 3. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's try to answer the question through the slides. Okay. Yes. Kisan credit card scheme, very important scheme. And I'll show you the current affairs component also. Okay. After this. Yeah, so here you have a Kisan credit card scheme which was introduced in 1998. The focus is on providing credit for agriculture purpose, right? So that is clear. Who are our eligible beneficiaries? Yes, it could be farmers, individual or joint borrowers. Okay, it can be tenant farmers also, or oral leases also, and it can be also availed by self-help groups also. Okay, those who are trying to practice agriculture. Okay, so eligibility is clearly defined. Farmers, tenant farmers, as well as self-help groups also. Fine. Now, what is the objective here? So the objective is very clear, that is to provide short-term credit requirements to ensure post-harvest expenses can be met, okay, to produce marketing loan, yeah, so consumption requirement of farmer household to provide credit requirement, okay. So here you are basically ensuring that if any credit requirement is required by a farmer, he can easily avail the same through the Kisan credit card. Okay. Now, what you should focus upon is the quantum of limit that he can avail. Okay. Now, this is very important. See, if a farmer is involved in cultivation of crops, or he is trying to avail the credit for post-harvest expenses, the maximum limit that he can avail is 3 lakh rupees. Okay. Under the Kisan credit card scheme. Fine. Same if he is doing so, if the farmer is involved in allied activities, that is animal husbandry, dairy, fisheries, okay, or any other form of cultivation. Okay. So here the maximum limit is 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So for crops, it is 3 lakhs. For animal husbandry, fisheries, and dairies, it is 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So it is not the same. Fine. Now, who all can lend also? Okay, so because if you have seen the previous year questions regarding payment banks, NBFCs, previous year questions, okay. So again, under the scheme, who all are eligible for which all lending institutions can participate under the scheme? That is also must, okay. So here it is public sector banks, private sector banks are there, regional rural banks are there, rural cooperative banks are also there, small finance banks are also there. Okay, so it is not just limited to public scheduled commercial banks. Okay, it is also private banks can also participate in the same Kisan credit card scheme. Fine. Now, under the scheme, certain important facts that you should know. Okay, the validity period for Kisan credit card is 5 years. Okay, so a numerical component is there. You should focus on the same. Okay. Now, the type of facilities that the scheme, okay, that the person can take. Okay, it is one is Kisan credit card, second is term loan. Okay, so if he wants to take a loan in lump sum, that also he can avail. Okay, now what is the repayment period? Again, if the examiner is focusing on the same, he will say it is a fixed time period. It is not so. Okay, the repayment period is fixed based upon the anticipated harvesting, and it is left to the lending institutions. Okay, how they want to ensure the repayment method. Okay, so repayment purpose is that period is not fixed, depends upon the harvesting and marketing period. Okay, now the same way for fisheries and animal husbandry also, the repayment period is depending upon the cash flow that the farmer generates. Okay, it is not based on any particular period. Fine. Now, what are the security norms for financing? Okay. So a farmer, if he is availing the loan, so we have already seen if he is involved in crop or post-harvest expenses, the maximum limit is 3 lakh rupees. Okay, if he is involved in fisheries or animal husbandry, the maximum limit he can avail is 2 lakh rupees. Okay, so we have already seen these two limits. Okay, now in these limits also, if he is availing only 1.6 lakh rupees, if the farmer is, this is the maximum limit. Okay, so if the farmer is taking only 1 point up to 1.6 lakh rupees, the security he has to provide is only the crops that he is going to grow. Okay, so here the security or the collateral that he has to give before the bank is the crops that he is giving or the crops that he is growing. Okay, now in case of joint farmers, the limit is 3 lakh rupees. Okay, so here the maximum collateral that the lending institutions can charge is the crops. That is, if the farmer is not able to repay the amount, the person or the lending institution can sell that crop and get the money back. Okay, but if the amount is above 1.6 lakhs, then it is the crops plus mortgage of land or third party guarantee also. Okay, for limits above the specified norms, mortgage of land or third party guarantee is necessary in addition to hypothecated crops or assets. Assets could be jewelry, anything of that form. Okay, so it is not just, you should not just eliminate the option based on mortgage of land. Okay, so that depends upon, see, if the farmer is availing, let's say 1.5 lakhs rupees loan, if he is taking 1.5 lakhs under the Kisan credit card scheme. Okay, so what will happen is the lending institution, let's say he's going to SBI. Okay, the SBI will say, okay, how much crops are you growing? Okay, so if he the SBI finds out ki, okay, the crops that he is growing, if he sells it in the market, he can repay the loan of 1.5 lakh rupees. So then the SBI will see that the crops that you are growing, this is my collateral. Okay, if you do not repay the 1.5 lakh rupees that you take as loan, I am eligible to sell your crops. Are you getting this, Tumpi? Okay, if you're not able to sell. Okay, now if the farmer takes, let's say, 1 point or 2 lakhs, if he takes 2 lakhs rupees, okay, then what SBI will say is it's not just the crop. Okay, it's not just the crop or the asset, but also you need to provide some form of guarantee. Okay, it could be your land papers or it could be a third party guarantee also. That is, in case if you're not able to repay the loan of 2 lakh rupees, then the lending institution has the right to sell your crops, your asset, and whatever, or the third, or ask money from the third party also. Okay, till they can avail back the amount that has been loaned to. Okay, till 2 lakhs can be recovered. Are you getting this? Okay, so the limit has been set. I hope this is clear. Okay, so it is 1.6 lakhs and 3 lakhs in case of joint farmers. Fine. All right. Now, what about interest? under the scheme. Okay, so when you have Kisan credit card scheme, what is the interest? It's not interest free. Definitely, it will not be interest free. What is the interest? The interest is 7%. Okay, if you are availing a loan, you have to pay the interest. Okay, but then the farmer gets an interest subvention also of 2%. And if he's making prompt repayment, then he can avail a benefit of 3% on the loan that he has taken. Okay, so if let's say 7% is there, and the he is making continuous payments, monthly payments he is able to do, then he can avail an interest subvention of 3%. Then his net interest will be what? 4% on the loan. I hope this is very clear. Okay, so it is not an interest-free loan. It has certain interest. If you're taking a loan from a bank, definitely there would be an interest involved in the same. I hope this is clear. Okay. So here, now based on what you have just learned, okay, based on what you have learned, what do you think would be the statements here? For a farmer to avail finance under the scheme, mortgage of land or third-party guarantee is necessary. What do you think about this statement? Is it a true statement? Yeah. So here it depends upon what? The amount that he is taking. Yes. If the amount he is taking is less than 1.6 lakhs, this is not necessary. If it is more than that, yeah, then we can talk about mortgage of land. Okay. So here it is not true for all the loans that are taken by the farmer. Okay. So wrong statement. Now, what about this one? Under the scheme, the maximum loan that can be availed is 3 lakhs for activities related to animal husbandry and fisheries. What would be the amount here? Yes, it is 2 lakhs. Okay? 3 lakhs is for any crop. If you are growing crop, or if you are growing crop plus animal husbandry. Okay? If it is crop plus animal husbandry, then also you can avail 3 lakh rupees. Okay, but if it is only limited to animal husbandry, the limit is 2 lakhs. Okay, the scheme provides farmers. Okay, so here the statement is also wrong. Okay, the scheme provides farmers with interest-free loans. Okay, so here we have already seen it is not interest-free. Okay, there is an interest subvention that happens. Okay, you do not have to pay the entire interest. Okay, but it is not interest-free. Okay, so here this statement is also wrong. I hope this is clear. Okay, now why I'm not giving options for the same is, see, in the recent trend that you have seen in the prelims paper, the options are what? Only one statement is correct, only two statements are correct, only three statements are correct. Okay, so that is the reason you should be prepared for knowing individual statements if they are correct or wrong. That is the reason I'm not giving options here. Okay, or otherwise you could have selected the correct options also to get the answer. Fine. So this is an important topic. See, interest subvention simply means if you, let's say 2 lakh rupees you are taking loan, okay, 7% is your interest. Now for a farmer, 2% interest subvention is there, okay. That means he has to pay only 5%. Interest subvention means 2% kam dena interest. Okay, that means he is availing 2 lakh rupees at 5% interest. Okay. The second aspect is if the lending institution sees, that is, let's say his EMI is 5,000 rupees. Okay. If the for 6 months the farmer has paid 5,000 rupees, continuous EMI he's paying. Okay. So then the farmer can claim that I am continuously repaying my EMIs. Okay. So then I need what? prompt. What is the statement here? That is it, a prompt repayment incentive he requires. Okay, so then what the lending institution will do? It will say, okay, here is 3%. Instead of 2% interest subvention, now it is 3%. You pay only 4% interest on your loan. Okay, so here this is dependent upon the EMI payments he makes. Okay, yes. Now, why are we focusing on Kisan credit card, even though it is an old topic? So see, this is the current affairs point of view. That is the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It recently launched three new initiatives. Okay, one is Kisan Rin Portal. Second is Kisan Credit Card Ghar Ghar Abhiyan, and the third one is Weather Information Network Data Systems. Okay, so here what should you focus upon? You should focus upon these two schemes, that is Kisan Rin Portal and Wins Portal. Okay, so what is Kisan Rin Portal? It is basically a digital platform, okay, which is focusing upon helping farmers to avail subsidized loans under the Kisan Credit Card scheme. Okay, so they can avail their loan under the Kisan Credit Card scheme directly through the digital platform. Okay, now how does this portal work? It basically focuses upon all the existing loans that have been availed by the farmer. Okay, it also tells the person ki, okay, how much repayments he has already done. Okay, so it basically gives a credit. Okay, it ensures that the lender has a faith. Yes, this farmer has already taken loans earlier and has repaid the loans also. Okay, so all those data are compiled in this digital platform, and based on the same, the farmer can avail new loans. Okay, so this portal has been developed collaboratively by the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Financial Services, Department of Animal Husbandry, Fisheries, RBI, and NABARD. Okay, so it is basically an integrated hub that provides all the data that is there regarding the farmer. Okay, what all schemes he is already utilizing, what are the existing loans under his name. Okay, all this can be found out. Okay, so this is Kisan Rin portal to ensure that the credit is reaching the farmer. Okay, so this was launched last month. You need to focus on the same. Okay, similarly, the another initiative is regarding the WINS initiative, that is Weather Information Network Data Systems Initiative. Okay, so here the exam is focusing on the same. It is this initiative deals with what often heard in news, is in the context of what. Okay, so here, as the name suggests, it is ensuring, it is ensuring ki yes, the weather information that is there, it is being fed back to the farmer so that the farmer can take up requisite decisions on the crops. Okay, so the initiative basically focuses on augmenting the weather data collection system in the country, especially at the gram panchayat level. Okay, so it creates a robust database of hyper local weather data which will help the farmer. Okay, when he should plant the crops, when he should not. Okay, so all of this data can be seen from this initiative. Okay, so current affairs component is there, but what you should focus upon is the static content here. Okay, so Kisan Rin portal, that is current affairs. Static content is Kisan credit card. Very important topic. Cover the topic. Fine. All right. So the next topic is regarding a new technology which has been developed by the Punjab Agriculture University. Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Archana. It is just a department under Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So here Punjab Agriculture University. Now, why this is important? See, if you have gone through the options, especially a previous year question that was asked on GM mustard. question was asked. One of the options is it was jointly developed by, I think, IARI and Punjab Agriculture University. Okay, so here a technology which has been developed, which has been patented, and it is an indigenous technology focusing on hydroponics. This becomes important. Okay, so Punjab Agriculture University gets patent for indigenous hybrid hydroponics technology. Okay, so here basically the focus is on two. Okay, so here it is an amalgamation of two soilless technologies. Okay, so first is the substrate hydroponics. The second is water hydroponics. Okay, so this indigenous technology basically mixes both these technologies. Okay, now what is substrate hydroponics? That is, it is not exactly soil in which you're growing the crop. Okay, here you're growing it in some medium. Okay, it can be cocoa peat, anything. Okay, any form of medium except soil. You're growing the crop in that form, in that substrate medium here. Okay, at the bottom, what is happening here is you have nutrient rich water. Okay, and in the middle, you have basically a plate from where the water can go towards the top. Okay, so here the focus here is on ensuring that the plant is growing on this substrate, in this medium, in this substrate. Okay, but whenever it is requiring water or nutrient, it will seek out the water from below. Okay, and because here it is not of any soil format, it is not a soil format, the roots will also be highly penetrative in nature. Okay, and at the below surface here you have nutrient water which is being constantly supplied. Okay, so here generally when you talk about hydroponics, the focus is on developing either on substrate medium, growing it on substrate medium, that is without soil, or on water medium. Okay, so this indigenous technology basically combines both the features. Okay, now what you should focus upon is the benefits of the same. That is more important for you. Okay, now because you're talking about nutrients and it is in a regulated format, it ensures that the plants get enough nutrients. Okay, it enhances the nutrient availability. Okay, at the same time the oxygen supply is also great. Why? Because the roots of the plant are not on soil but on a substrate medium. Okay, so here it can get enough oxygen, so it helps in accelerating plant growth. Okay, now because of the compact root system, you can also grow multiple plants at a closer medium. Okay, you do not need this. If you grow something on soil, what happens is a plant has to be grown here, then a minimum level of requirement, minimum level of spacing is required for you to grow another crop. Okay, but here because the nutrients come from the bottom itself, you can grow the crop here itself. Okay, so closer plant spacing can happen, so which helps in increasing the yield. Okay, the efficient utilization of water is there, wastage of water is reduced, it is also cost effective. Okay, and it can promote urban vertical gardening also. Okay, so these are key benefits under the hybrid hydroponics technology, and indigenous technology go through the same. Okay, okay, now if this topic is asked by the examiner, the one of the options could be yes, it does not have efficient utilization of water as hydroponics technology or as aeroponics technology. Okay, so that would be a comparative analysis. If the examiner is asking a question on the same, it would be hydroponics versus some other technology. Okay, so mix and match is there, that we'll learn on elimination. Okay, alternate arrangements are learned. Okay, so please go through this content again, important. Okay. Okay, now we come to another very important topic, that is cultivation practices. Okay, cultivation practices, especially in agriculture. So here you can see these are all UPSC questions asked. Okay, previous year questions. One is system of rice intensification of cultivation. Okay, so here the topic is on cultivation price practices, especially with respect to rice. Okay, here is another UPSC question asked on drip irrigation, another cultivation practice. Okay, now see here another UPSC question asked on integrated nutrient management. Okay, another UPSC question asked on organic farming. These are all what? Cultivation practices. Okay, another question asked on green manure, which all constitute green manure. Okay, so here from your UPSC standpoint, when you talk about agriculture, the cultivation practices that are there, which are specifically implemented by the government, okay, be it central government or by the state government. If any particular cultivation practice is being promoted by the central or the state government, it becomes very, very important. Okay, especially if you see the 2022 question, UPSC 2022 question, this was done because it was implemented on a large scale by the Punjab government, state government. Okay, so that is the reason this question was asked. Okay, so similarly, we should also focus on an important topic from the current affairs standpoint. Okay, now before going into the topic, I've brought a question for you, that is regarding direct seeded rice, another cultivation practice regarding rice. Okay, so the direct seeded rice technique of cultivation results in, okay, faster planting and maturing of rice, reduced weed growth. Third is lower greenhouse gas emissions. Which statements do you think are correct here? Direct seeded rice technique. All three. One, all, 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 one, three. Okay. So let's see here. One, two, three. Okay. See, always when such questions are asked regarding agriculture, right? It's not always necessary that just because they are plain statements, all will be correct. Okay. For example, see here, this question regarding drip irrigation. Okay. It might seem the answer might be all here, but it's not so. Okay. There might be something very specific regarding this practice, certain disadvantage regarding this technique. You should know about that aspect specifically. Okay, so here why are we focusing on direct seeded rice? Okay, so let us see the current affairs point of view. Yeah, so here you have the Punjab government, okay, which is trying to bring about 5 lakh acres of paddy sowing in the state under direct seeding of rice. Okay, now why it is doing the same is because it wants to ensure that the it can conserve the underground water that is there in Punjab. Okay, similarly, Haryana and Punjab government, again two state governments which are which are offering farmers certain amount of money to grow paddy using the DSR method instead of transplanting. Okay, so here if a question is asked, either it would be direct benefits, advantage, disadvantage of direct seeding rice, or it would be what? A comparison between direct seeding rice and the transplantation method. Okay. So here, for example, see here, direct seeding of rice and transplantation method. Okay. So when we talk about transplantation method, what happens is you have the rice seed, you grow it in a nursery, and then you transplant it on the agriculture field. Okay. Whereas, as the name suggests, for direct seeding of rice, here you are directly growing that rice from the seed stage itself directly onto the field itself. Okay. So in the direct seeding of rice, paddy is sown directly in the field without any nursery preparation, puddling, or flooding. Whereas in the transplantation method, it is first grown on a nursery and then replanted. Okay. Now, why is it that the state governments are focusing on direct seeding of rice? Because the number of irrigations, the water requirement that it requires is also very less compared to transplantation method. Okay. At the same time, direct seeding rice, it delivers faster planting and maturing. It conserves scarce resources like water and labor, because if you're doing transplantation method, once it has been grown, once the crop has grown in the nursery, to implement or to plant it back on the soil, you need labor. Extra labor charges are there. Okay. So here, if the farmer goes for direct seeding of rice, he can reduce the labor cost. Okay. Now it is more conducive for mechanization also. Direct machines can implement the same. Okay. And it reduces emissions of greenhouse gases also. Okay. So certain clear-cut benefits of going for direct seeding of rice. Okay. Now what I've done for you here is the comparison of direct seeding of rice and transplantation method. Okay. So the comparison, you can go through it. Okay. This is important. Okay, so seeds are directly grown into the field. Here it is transplanted. Second is interspacing is not uniform, whereas when you talk about transplanting, it is clearly uniform. Okay, this you will clearly observe if you observe an agriculture field also. Okay, when the crops are clearly in a one line, that is transplantation method. Okay, it requires less labor because you're not again replanting. Once you have put the seed, that is it. Okay, average yield is high, the average yield is low. Plants are usually healthier. Plants do not have deep roots. The reason for not having deep roots is because if you're going for the transplantation method, a certain amount of water has to be there. A stagnant water has to be there on the field. Okay, so that is the reason deep roots do not develop here. Okay, a large amount of seeds are required, fewer amount of seeds are required. Higher density of plant, lower density, because here higher density is there, because of which yield is also high. Okay, but the major fault of direct seeding of rice is what? Because you're directly planting the seed, here weeds are also continuously growing. Okay, so the major disadvantage of direct seeding of rice is weed control. Okay, whereas when you talk about transplantation method, weed control is very easy. The reason is because in the field, before planting the plant, the water has to be there. A minimum level of water has to be there. Okay, so once you plant it, again, weed cannot grow here because there is stagnant water on the top. Okay, so natural water acts as a herbicide, whereas here you provide water only when it is required. That is the reason it gives ample amount of time for weed growth. Okay, so this is the only disadvantage with direct seeding of rice. This is there, and similarly, large amount of seeds are required. So this is another disadvantage. Okay, so this is very important that you know the advantage as well as most important the disadvantage part. Okay, so advantage is, yes, you save irrigation water, reduces labor, reduces cultivation time, faster maturation of crops also. Okay, now because of this, it also helps in controlling stubble burning. Okay, if the farmer gets ample amount of time before the next crop, he can implement or he can use tools to ensure that he does not go for stubble burning. Okay, so this also we'll see. Okay, it lowers greenhouse gas emissions, it enhances fertilizer use efficiency, and it reduces cost of cultivation also because the labor cost is low. Okay, now what is the disadvantage of direct seeding rice? First and the foremost major disadvantage is the weed control part. Okay. Second is higher seed rates are required because here you are directly planting seeds, whereas there only after a seed has reached a particular height, you are planting that back on the soil. Okay. It needs laser land leveling. Okay. Because in the transplantation method, what you are doing is even if the land is not leveled, but it has been plowed enough number of times. Okay, because of which the soil, the root can properly take place. Whereas here, no such thing is there. Therefore, you need lesser level of land. Okay, it has to be plain. Now, it is very sensitive to rain. Uses large scale herbicide for weed control. Okay, and non-uniform crop establishment is there. Okay, so these are certain disadvantages. Now, based on what you have learned, which statements do you think are correct here? Direct seeded rice technique, faster planting and maturing of rice. That is correct. Okay. Reduced wheat growth. That is wrong. That is the major disadvantage of this technique. Okay. Lower greenhouse emissions. That is correct. Fine. So please go through this, an important topic because implemented by state governments. Okay. Yes, advantages we have seen disadvantages also. Now, high yielding varieties of rice. Okay, so here non-uniform crop establishment simply means because they are not planted, right? See, if you're trying to plant in transplantation, what happens? I plant it here, next crop I'll plant here, the next one I'll plant here, the next plant I'll plant here. Okay, whereas when you're talking about direct seeding, you're directly dispersing seeds over the plot of land. Okay, so it is non-uniform. Okay, it's not spaced because you're not putting it through, you're just dispersing the seeds. Okay, I hope that is clear. Here it is manually done. Okay, high seed rate simply means, see here, let's say if 9 out of 10 seeds are only being, it's only those are good seeds. Okay, or let's say 5 out of 10 are good seeds. So here in transplanting method, what is happening? You're only growing those crops which has already been from the seed level, it has already reached a certain height. You're transplanting only those plants which have already been successful in growing. Whereas here what happens is you need extra amount of seeds for the same number of yield. Because some seeds might be what? It might not grow. I hope this is clear, Vinod. Okay, you need extra amount of seeds for reaching the same level of yield. That's it. Because 100% seed quality is not always correct, right? Certain seeds would be faulty, right? Now, coming to rice, yes, high yielding varieties of rice. See, this is a very particular question that was asked in 2022. It has not been repeated after that. Okay, that is, which of the following are the high yielding varieties of crops in India? That is of wheat. Okay, so you should clearly know which are high yielding varieties of rice. Okay, a very unique question. That is the reason I've just mentioned it here. Just go through the same. Okay. Similarly, you should also know the high yielding variety of wheat also. Okay. Now, from the current affairs point of view, what is important? See, here you have a very high yielding rice variety. Okay, that is Pusa 44, which the Punjab government wants to ban the cultivation of this high yielding variety of paddy. Okay. Now, what is the reason for the same? So the first reason is this crop, even though it has a very high yield, it takes longer duration to mature. Okay. So when a crop takes longer duration to mature, it takes greater amount of groundwater also. Okay, so because Punjab is facing severe groundwater depletion, the government of Punjab wants to ban the cultivation of this high yielding variety of rice. Okay, the second reason is because it has a longer duration of maturity. So here Pusa 44 is harvested just before the sowing of wheat. Okay, so here the farmer does not get enough time to dispose of the stubble. Okay, that is the reason you find Punjab farmers directly burning the crops, the residual crops, which is leading to what? Stubble burning, which is leading for increased pollution in northern India. Okay, so that is again one of the reason why the government of Punjab wants to ban the same. Okay, so first is longer duration, because of which larger groundwater depletion. The second is stubble burning, because it takes enough time to mature. It takes long time to mature because of that. Okay, the farmer does not get enough time to dispose of. Okay, the third reason is the Pusa variety generates 2% more stubble than the shorter varieties of other varieties of rice. Okay, so this is again, if you're creating more stubble, again, that would lead to more burning, more pollution. Okay, so the Punjab government wants to ban the same. Okay, so high yielding variety is there. Current affairs point of view, just know the reasons. Okay, because recently also, if you have observed, the UPSC is more going for the reasons of the same. For example, if the government is banning export of rice, so what is the reason? Okay, if Fed rate hike is happening, what is the reason? What would be its implication on the Indian economy? Okay, so the implication part or the reason for the same is very important. Okay, that is the reason we are covering this topic. Okay. Okay, so high yielding varieties of rice we have seen. Similarly, high yielding varieties of wheat also you just go through. Okay, you should know. If a question is asked, you should know which all are high yielding varieties of wheat. Fine. All right. Now we come to another important topic, that is GM. Okay, so this is a UPSC question. You already know this. With reference to genetically modified mustard developed in India, what are the correct statements? Okay, so here you can see the GM mustard has been developed jointly by IARI and Punjab Agriculture University. This university is very, very important. Any development in this university, you have to definitely read. Okay, any advancement made in this university, it becomes important. Okay, so this is a previous year UPSC question. Similarly, you can also see Cas9 protein. What is it related to? Again, a UPSC question. Okay, now based on the same from the current affairs point of view, I have brought a practice question for you. Okay, so here there are two statements. You tell me which statements are correct here. Okay, so the first statement is genome edited plants involve the introduction of foreign genes from unrelated species into the plant genome. Okay, while transgenic plants allow for precise alteration of specific DNA sequences within the plant genome. Okay, so here there is a comparison between genome edited plants and transgenic plants. Okay, the second statement says while transgenic plants have the potential to enhance traits such as disease resistance or nutritional content, this is absent in genome edited plants. Which statements do you think are correct? Bhavya, sex changed. Okay. Only two. None. Okay. Fine. Two. 2. Fine. First interchange 2. Okay, none. Two, none. Fine. Yeah. Yes, so one is clear key, yes, this is interchange, that is fine. What about this one? This one? Let's see, okay? Let's see through the next slides. Okay. Now, why are we covering this topic? Genome edited plants and transgenic plants, okay? So from current affairs point of view, there is an important topic, okay? Indian scientists have developed the first ever, we have already discussed, that is the important keyword is first ever. If this is there, you have to definitely focus on the same. If this is in news, you have to definitely read that content. Okay, so Indian scientists, they have developed the first ever low pungent mustard. Again, another UPSC important keyword. Okay. Yeah, so they have developed the first ever low pungent mustard that is pest as well as disease resistant also. Okay, it is based on CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing and it is non-GM and transgene free. Okay, so a very, very important news that you should focus. Okay, so here from this statement itself, you can see if it is transgene free and still it is pest and disease resistant. Okay, it is non-GM and that is it is basically genome edited. Okay, but still it is pest and disease resistant. So that is the reason this statement will be what? This statement anyways is wrong. What about this one? That is both transgenic plants as well as genome edited plants. They have the potential to enhance disease resistance or nutritional content. Okay, it's not just limited to transgenic plants. So this statement is also wrong. Fine. Okay, so now let us see what is the genome edited mustard. Okay, so here what the Indian scientists have done is basically they have ensured that the pungent smell that is there from the mustard, they can, if they can reduce the same. Okay, so what is the significance of such a news? See, the mustard seeds have high levels of glucosinolates, okay, because of which you have the pungent smell. Okay, it is basically sulfur and nitrogen containing compound because of the sulfur smell. Okay, now because of which what happens is the oil's acceptability is low among consumers. Okay, it is not just humans who are not seeking out mustard seeds, but also poultry and pigs also, because the residual, after you have extracted the oil from the mustard seed, the residue you are generally feeding it back to poultry. They also do not prefer the same. Okay, and there are certain organ abnormalities in livestock also. Okay, so keeping this in limelight so as to ensure the, so that the consumers can adapt more to this mustard and reduce the pungent smell, the Indian scientists have developed this genome edited mustard. Okay, so what they did is basically they bred mustard with canola. Okay, so canola has low pungency. Okay, so through the genome editing through CRISPR-9, they edited 10 out of 12 GTR genes. Okay, now when they edited the same, here they did not introduce foreign genes into it. Okay, they edited from itself. Okay, now because of this, this is transgene free. Okay, they were able to reduce the glucosinolate content also, and they did not include any other foreign gene also. Okay, so it is just transgene free and it is non-genetically modified also. Okay, now the reason for creating non-genetically modified is because the government also has certain relaxations for genome edited crops. Okay, so if you have two crops, that is GM crop and genome edited crop. Okay, genome edited crop, here both of them, here the relaxation is much higher. Okay, here it is much more from the environment point of view. Okay, so here they have just gone for genome edited. Okay, just see the picture of the seeds, Tampi. Okay, so if you just see, they are basically, you will find out and they are basically related, mustard and rapeseed. Okay, if you just look at their pictures, you will find. Okay. Right. Now, what you should focus upon is the difference between the two. This is very important. Okay. So when we talk about genome edited plants, here you have precise alterations that you do to the plant's own DNA. Yeah, that is exactly what we are seeing here, Bhavya. Okay. When we talk about genome edited plant, you are altering the DNA of the plant itself. Okay, you are trying to delete, insert, or substitute a certain DNA sequence. Okay, but the DNA that you are taking, it is from the same species or closely related species. Okay, this is genome edited plant. Okay, you are trying to edit the genome of the plant from the same species. You're trying, even if you're inserting something, genetic material, you're taking the gene from the same species or closely related species. Okay. Whereas when you talk about genetically modified or transgenic plants, here you're introducing genes from another species altogether. Okay. For example, when we talk about BT cotton, here what you do is cotton is the plant. Okay. But then when you introduce the gene of BT, that is from bacteria. Okay, so they are not related species also. Okay, so the genetic material that you are trying to include, it comes from different species. Are you getting this, Bhavya? Okay, so when you talk about transgenic plants, the genetic material is foreign in nature, whereas genome edited, it is from the same species. Okay, yeah, so that is the basic difference between the two. Okay, so this is an important aspect. Please go through the same. Fine. Yeah, here depending upon the what you are trying to implement. Yes, exactly. Okay. आप फॉरेन मटेरियल कहाँ से ला रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से. ठीक है. Yes, now we come to another part of it. See here, this is a UPSC question. Ball guard 2 technologies, it relates to what? Okay, so we have already seen this. Okay, similarly this can also be, this is a question that I've created. Cry to AI, okay, Cry 1 AC, Cry 2 AB, okay, this is mentioned in news, is often used in the context of which plant? Okay, any guesses? Mustard, cotton, cotton, cotton. ठीक है? Yes, fine. So here, yes, it is cotton. Okay. Now, why we are covering this topic? Because current affairs. Okay. So three states have deferred a proposal which has been approved by GAC to test a new kind of transgenic cotton seed that contains a gene Cry2AI. Okay, basically this is the gene which ensures that the cotton is resistant to pink bollworm. Okay, so the 3 states, yes, Telangana and certain states are there which have not implemented the same in their specific states. Okay, so this cotton that is there, which contains this gene, it is developed by a Hyderabad-based Bioseed Research India company. Okay, now generally when you talk about transgenic plants here, yes, it is the soil bacterium from where you basically take the genes. Okay, it is the best mining source for such genes, which are then inserted into the host genome using genetic engineering. Okay, so example is also there, that is introduction of gene cry1AC or cry2AB. Okay, it was mined from the soil bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, it allows the native cotton plant to generate endotoxins to fight the pink bollworm naturally. Okay, so this is a foreign gene that you have implemented. Okay, so that is how you have BT cotton, which helps farmers naturally fight pink bollworm. Okay, so here such kind of questions, yeah, you can expect. Okay, it is there in news, so that is the reason I've just created a question on the same. Fine. All right. Acha. With that, we end the class for today. Okay. Now, what topics have I not covered? Okay. One topic I have not covered is the static portion. Okay. That is static portion regarding rice, wheat, cotton, sugarcane, jute. Okay. So this is something that is already there in your NCRTs. Okay. But at the same time, I will also just provide the slide. Okay, I'll directly provide the slide for the same. Just go through these slides. Okay, I'll provide it by tomorrow. You can refer the same. Okay, now when you talk about the static content of these crops, rice, oil seeds, all of them, what should you focus upon? What are the content that you should focus upon? When you talk about rice, wheat, jute, sugarcane, based on previous year questions, temperature, very good. Yes, that is one important aspect that is there in your NCRT. Climate conditions, soil, very good. What else? Area, yes. Top producers, very good. Okay. Top producers, rainfall, very good. What else? Okay. Always, whenever you talk about it, what is India's stance on these crops? Okay. Very important. Okay, now why I have not covered it is actually a current affairs topic. India stands, that is, India is the largest producer of. Okay, yes, that would be updated current affairs. Exactly. Okay, so when it will be there, when you will have the annual report. Okay, agriculture annual report comes in December 2023. It will come in December 2023. And when I take the current affairs class, I'll update the content on the same. Okay, that is the reason I've not covered this topic. Okay, top producers, because it might change. The states might also change. Okay, so when I take the current affairs class, which state is the top producer, which is not, I'll mention the same. Okay, now regarding temperature, soil and all, already there in your NCRT, but still certain unique facts if they are there. Okay, rice, wheat, millets, all of them, I'll directly provide PPT for the same. You can go through that content. Fine. All right, so with that, we end the class for today. Okay, if there is any doubt, that person can stay back. The rest of you can leave. The class for today is over.